people start coming to me and telling me how smart I am and how successful I am. I was fighting against it, and I thought I could take them on. My asset basically dwindled down to 5% of what I used to have.
What are the elements that successful business leaders have in common? What values help assure success in today's competitive business environment? Join us as we explore the lives of some very successful business leaders.
Welcome to Secrets of Success, the program about people of strength, people of persistence, people who are successful in business. These are their stories.
Peter is a very large personality.
Peter's kind of an interesting fellow. Peter was a person who liked to fight. He's a visionary, which comes with being an entrepreneur.
Meet Dr. Peter Chung, President and CEO of the Eminata Group, a multi-million-dollar education-based company headquartered in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Peter Chung is a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse, and he carries that energy from about 5 o'clock in the morning and through to about 10 o'clock at night.
Culturally, Koreans are very private people and typically don't speak about family or personal business. Dr. Chung's willingness to share his story makes this a very special episode of Secrets of Success.
I was born in Korea, South Korea. My father came to U.S. as a student. My father decided to stay in U.S. because he felt that it would be better for his children to get a good education in USA.
Peter, his 3 brothers and a sister remained in Korea while their mother went ahead to join her husband in Los Angeles. Mrs. Chung planned to earn enough money to prepare a home in advance for her children.
My mom worked in a sweatshop making ties. She worked probably 10, 12 hours a day for sometimes 6 days a week.
A year and a half later, the Chung children joined both their parents in America.
I came to USA when I was 14 years old. This was back in 1968. My mom saved up some money, and she bought a 2-bedroom house in LA, and 7 of us stayed there.
Peter's father earned his master's degree from UCLA and continued on to seminary. Following seminary, he became the pastor of a small Korean immigrant church in Los Angeles. The church was so poor that Pastor Chung worked without taking a salary for 10 years. As for Peter, he had to attend school while learning a new language and deal with the numerous cultural differences that came with living in a new country.
I was really confused in the beginning, so I got into a few fights.
He came from kind of a rough neighborhood. In fact, and Peter was a person who liked to fight, and he got in a lot of trouble.
But Peter also possessed a strong sense of responsibility.
I was only 14, but I felt that I should contribute something to the family, so I got a job as a painter. I think I only got $10 for a whole job, but they fed me, they gave me lunch and dinner and stuff, so it was okay.
It was the beginning of a long line of odd jobs and hard work.
My younger brother and I, both of us went door to door and just knocked on the door, and we figured out how to say, do you have any work for us? Some people gave us job to mow the lawn, or some people, invited us to a party to wash dishes and things like that.
By the time he reached high school, Peter actually created a job for himself, a teaching job.
I went to my student body president, and I told him that I'd like to do a martial arts demonstration. And back then, Bruce Lee was just coming on the scene. And he got really excited, and so one day during lunchtime, he arranged a demonstration for me. So we had about 1,500 students show up. And so after my demonstration, about 30 people came to me, and they wanted to learn martial arts. So I started a martial arts class, and so I made some money that way.
Peter had no way of knowing it, but this first teaching experience as a Taekwondo instructor would lay the foundation for a business that would eventually make him millions. His various jobs put money in his pocket, and in school he excelled in math and science. But at home, Peter found himself full of anger.
I was bitter towards my father because I felt that he should provide bread for the family, not my mother.
Peter had been raised in a Christian household, but he hadn't really been living in that faith, making it difficult for him to understand his parents' point of view.
It was hard for me to believe that there is God, and because I couldn't see him. And, a lot of my friends didn't believe in it either, so I think that was another reason. I mean, I wasn't really seeking.
Peter frequently voiced his disapproval to his father.
I argued with him a lot, and I'll talk back, which I'm not supposed to in our culture. And he took it, and was very patient. But my senior year, it got really worse and worse, and I really had a really big argument with my father, and he got mad at me too, and I had to leave home.
Peter moved in with his brother, who had an apartment near UCLA in West Los Angeles. A few days later, Peter's father paid a visit and asked his son to return home.
He asked for forgiveness, and I asked for forgiveness the same way, and I asked him whether I could stay with my brother, and he said that was okay.
Peter lived with his brother for the remainder of the summer, and then began classes at UCLA in the fall, eventually majoring in mathematics and computer science.
Peter moved in across the hall from me in the dorm when we were in college.
Surprisingly, living at college put Peter back in touch with the faith he'd ignored while living at home.
My brother's roommate was a very, very faithful Christian, and this guy turns on the light 6 o'clock in the morning. He reads Bible, and he prays, and he goes to school. He took me to this Bible study, and I thought I knew a lot about Bible, but I realized that how little I knew. So the guy was really instrumental.
A serious accident also played a part in Peter making a commitment to faith.
He was involved in a car accident, which should have been fatal, but him and everyone else in his car walked away without any injuries. He realized that, God had saved him from that.
My parents noticed the change right away. I'm not rebellious anymore, and I look very happy.
One thing about Peter had not changed: his willingness to work hard. But frequently, his friends noticed he had little or no money, even though he'd recently been paid. They'd ask him where it all went.
I got my money, I gave some to my mom, I gave some to this person, I gave some to that person. It's all gone, it's just money, So he had this perspective on money that it's not something that you just hoard. You use it the way God wants you to.
So when I became a Christian, I wanted to be a missionary. And my father basically felt that I'd be a better businessman. So I took his advice.
Graduating from UCLA with a bachelor's degree in mathematics and computer science, Peter quickly found a job as a computer programmer. He had just settled into the job when his father came to him with one more piece of advice.
My father came to me and says, Pete, I think you need to get married.
Desiring to please his parents, Peter traveled to Korea with them. His father had arranged for him to meet 15 girls over 12 days at the church of a pastor friend.
My wife, Stephanie, was a pianist at the church. So that's how we met, and she was the first girl that I met.
I didn't think about, getting married. I just think about how I could be a, concert pianist.
My father said, I think first girl that you met would be good for you.
Once again, Peter took his father's advice.
7 days later, we got married.
I can see him. He's very sincere. He's a very faithful man.
Peter returned to the United States with his parents. Stephanie remained in Korea to complete college. 4 months later, after graduating, she joined him in Los Angeles.
She was admitted to USC graduate school for piano performance. And after 6 months, she got pregnant. And so we ended up having 5 kids.
As for Peter, he found his work as a computer programmer boring, and after a year accepted a job with an industrial engineering firm. With the encouragement of his new employers, he returned to school.
I went to Cal Poly Pomona and I majored in industrial engineering.
Peter worked at night and during the day attended classes for his master's degree. Completing the program, he went to work for an industrial engineering firm in Long Beach, California.